What's going on, guys? This is Kazi, and I genuinely hope that you're as excited as I am because the stuff that we have jam-packed here in this training is gonna blow you away. All right, so here's the agenda. Let's just check it out. I'm gonna start off with a quick introduction. That's gonna be what to expect in this training, plus a little bit about myself. Then we're gonna jump right into the live training section. That's what you guys are here for. Then I'm going to tell you a little bit about my masterclass, and we are going to end this training with an extensive Q&A. These questions came straight from you guys. This section right here might as well be a training in its own right. Like, I go pretty deep. Here's a quick glance of what we're going to be covering in the Q&A section. And then finally, get excited for this. Free downloads. This is something that I have not done yet. So at the end of the training, you're gonna have to watch it all the way through. When you get till the end, you're gonna be redirected to a link where you will be able to download all the footage that is going to be used in this live training, practice footage, plus all the power grades. So all the looks that I'm gonna create here, you're gonna get access to all of that along with the practice footage. And finally, you're gonna get some bonus LUTs. This is going to be based on tons of commercials and stuff that I worked on where I created these looks that I really loved. So I cooked them into LUTs, and you're going to get access to that. So that all is going to happen if you wait till the end of the webinar. You have to watch the whole thing through till the end, and then it will redirect you to download all this free content. Now let's check out 5 possible reasons why you're here. Number 1, you want to learn Resolve but don't know where to begin. Okay, that is the case for majority of the people. Or you're a Premiere Pro Final Cut 10 user and you're just finding out that it's just not enough. If you really want to take your game to the next level, you have to learn Resolve. Number 3, you're not happy with the results. So you are in Resolve, you're messing around with things, but you're just not satisfied with what's happening. Or you're doing things without knowing the why. That's a major one because nobody out there is teaching you the why. Everybody shows you the knobs and what it does, but not necessarily why you should be using each tool inside Resolve. And then finally, you want to make your projects look and feel big budget. So if you belong to any of these 5 categories, you are in the right place. Now, let's talk about top 3 reasons why color grading is so hot right now. Number 1, cameras are getting cheaper, but the quality is getting better, okay? Anybody can afford a camera that shoots 12-bit RAW. I mean, think about Pocket 4K. It's unbelievable what you can do. Number 2, Resolve is free and it's the industry standard. Majority of Hollywood films, think of Joker, John Wick, Deadpool, Avatar, and some of the highest end commercials that you can think of, they're all graded in DaVinci Resolve. Number 3, job market is much less saturated since it's a newer niche compared to, say, editing or cinematography. Hence, it's easier to find work and get paid really well. All right, now let's talk about why you should listen to me. I run a color grading studio in LA. I've been a colorist for a little under a decade, and I've been fortunate enough to work with these brands. Just check it out. Toyota, Vizio, Honda, Similac, Acura, Infinity, Intel, eBay, the list goes on. And I have the fastest growing color grading YouTube and Instagram accounts. As you can see, right now we're sitting at a little over 245,000 subscribers, and we are sitting at well over 320,000 followers on Instagram. As a freelancer, I was fortunate enough to make $234,000 in just about 110 days, and the rest of the time I was chilling with my family, doing things that mattered to me. And you guys know this is not easy in our field to be pulling those kind of numbers. So this tells you what's at stake here. Color grading is hot right now. People are killing it. So if all of this gets you pumped, then tell me you're excited. Yes, let's jump right in. Now, before we jump into the training overview, I want to show you a survey I conducted right before the webinar. So which software do you primarily use for color grading? Majority of you said DaVinci Resolve, Premiere Pro. In terms of camera usage, majority of you are using Sony, Canon, Blackmagic, so no surprise there. Types of projects you guys are working on: films, commercials, music videos, perfect. And your DaVinci Resolve skill level, majority of you are beginners, some intermediate, which is exactly what this webinar is for. And then what's your biggest challenge when it comes to grading? And 53.5% of you said shot matching, then skin tones and balance. So wait for it. Let's check out the training overview. Number 1, how to get your footage in and out of Resolve if you're using Premiere Pro or Final Cut 10. Number 2, the 5 most powerful nodes inside Resolve. Number 3, secrets to grading 8-bit footage. Number 4, how to nail skin tones every time. Number 5, how to balance unsalvageable footage. Number 6, shot matching basics. Number 7, one size fits all node tree. And this will be downloadable at the end of the training. You're going to find a link where you will be able to get my one size fits all node tree. So guys, let's jump right into it. I do want to take a second and just show you how to download DaVinci Resolve for free, whether you're on PC or Mac. Google DaVinci Resolve free, and then you can click on the top link right here. And once you go in, you can just click on download now, and it gives you these options, right? So on your right-hand side, anytime it says studio, that means it's a paid version. So stay away from that unless you want to get the paid version, which you should. But anytime it just says Resolve 17 or Resolve 16, these are the versions that are absolutely free. So you can pick your poison, Mac or PC, and just click on it and just go from there. I would recommend getting 17. There's so many new updates. We're going to be using 17 in this training. So just go ahead and download the free version if you haven't already. So that's how you would get DaVinci Resolve for free. Moving on. Now let's get into our training. So Premiere Pro or Final Cut 10 to Resolve workflow. First thing that you got to do is export a highest quality clip from Premiere Pro or Final Cut 10. If you're working with 8-bit footage, export a ProRes HQ or DNX HR HQ, depending on the operating system you're using. 10-bit or more, stick with ProRes 444XQ or DNX HR 444. Make sure there are no LUTs or effects applied to your footage since it is baked. So we want to send a flattest file to Resolve so we can color grade it with the highest dynamic range. And same thing applies here. Do not export with graphics or supers since they're going to be baked in and we don't want that. Now let's switch over to Resolve. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the clip, bring it in. So let's say we just exported a single clip, and let's just make sure first we're going to double click and then we're going to hover over and make sure that it's all flat and it came in perfectly. Now let's just take that and drop it on our timeline. So again, everything is looking good and it is a single clip as of now. All you need to do at this point is click right here and go ahead, select detect scene cuts under your timeline. Okay, as soon as you do that, Resolve's AI will kick in and create these cuts for us. And look at, it did a perfect job. Sometimes you're not going to be as lucky as this. So say you are working on a music video where there are flashlights going off. If that's what's happening, Resolve is going to think that each blink during the flash going off is a different cut. Okay, so it might create a bunch of different cuts. In that case, what you have to do is that go to all the false cuts, click right here and just hit delete, and it's going to open that up. So that is if you ever run into that scenario. I don't have to. This worked out perfectly for me at this point. I can go in here. I can start grading it, do whatever I want. And then once I'm done, I can just go under deliver and export it back to Premiere Pro or Final Cut 10. And let's go back and see what you need to do for that. So export a highest quality clip from Resolve, and it's gonna follow this pattern right here, okay? It's gonna go back into your Premiere Pro or Final Cut 10 as a single clip, and then once it's inside, you can place graphics and supers on top layers and do your final export from your preferred NLE. So that is the simplest way I can show you how to get footage in and out of Resolve. It goes much deeper than that. I have an entire module in my masterclass that takes you through all the best practices, but this should give you a basic understanding of what Conform is and how you can start using it right away. Moving on to the 5 most powerful nodes inside Resolve. We're going to start off with one of my favorite types of nodes, Layer Mixer, generally used to isolate selected parts of the frame using qualifiers, or add composite mode to create effects such as bleach bypass. Let's put it to practice. So we're going to go in here. I've already dropped on my CST for a proper Rec 709 conversion, since that's not the premise of like what we're about to accomplish. I've also gone ahead and just balanced my image a little bit. Now, why do we use our CST downstream instead of upstream? You're going to find out in the end of this training, okay? I have a whole section where I'm going to talk about that, so stay tuned for that. Let's move on here, and we're going to create a new layer by hitting Option S. Over here, we're going to right click and say Add Node Layer Mixer, okay? And this is what you get. So the way you want to think about a layer mixer is that anything that's on the bottom is basically on top. It absolutely makes no sense, but this is how it is, okay? So whatever we do here takes precedent, and think of it as like it's a layer on top, okay? And let me show you what I'm talking about. So let's say we want to isolate the color yellow and blue and then make the rest of this image black and white, sort of like a Sin City effect. So it's really easy to do, and I'm also going to show you another really cool technique to do that. So instead of like you going under qualifier and doing it by hand, let's do it an easier way. Go under color, presets, and in here, I'm just going to select 6 vector blue. And then we're going to click right here, say add node, and then go create another layer mixer, bring it down here. And now we're going to go back under color, presets, and we're going to say select yellow. So we have selected yellow and blue, and you're going to see how effective and how good this selection is in a second. Okay, now I'm going to go in here. I'm going to go under my RGB mixer, and I'm going to hit monochrome to just make it black and white. And now if I move over and come right here, I mean, just look at the results that we just got. So if I turn this on and off, like look how it's just grabbing the blue, and now it's just grabbing the yellow. Now, obviously you can go in and perfect it, but for it to just give you this result right off the bat is literally mind-blowing. So that's one way to use your layer mixer. Now let's check out the second example, which is going to be this. So I've already gone ahead and set this up because I just showed you how to use layer mixer. In this case, I want to create a bleach bypass effect. I want to create a cool look really fast. So it can be done just in 2 steps. Right click here, go under composite mode, and in here, select overlay. As soon as you do that, just see the kind of look it created for us right off the bat. Obviously, it's too pushed. So we're going to do 2 things here. I'm going to go under, once again, in my monochrome and click on monochrome. And look at this. Remember I told you what's underneath is on top? Because this node is not desaturated, it is still pulling through. Because we did a composite, we're basically doing 50-50 between these 2 nodes. So this is completely black and white, but it's still not 100% black and white. Our image still retains some color because of this node right here. So another thing that I'm going to do up here is open up the contrast just a tiny bit. So I'm going to go under my contrast and pull it back a little bit, not too much. So even something like this. And at that point, if I turn this on and off, like look at the kind of style we created just by doing this. And now it could be as simple as this. I can go in here, go under my gain, and start adding a little bit more warmth just to kind of create, you know, a Queen's Gambit sort of color palette. And if I just hold it right there and I just show you what we created, take these genuinely in 2 steps and look at how clean this grade is and how easy it was. That is the power of the layer mixer. Let's move on to our other type of node. Number 2, parallel mixer. Generally used to blend in multiple corrections by using windows or qualifiers. So let's look at this example right here. Let's say we're going for a fall look. So we're going to make everything in the back really, really warm. And then we're going to try to pull her skin and get some of this red out. Okay. So first of all, we're just going to grab everything in the background. So I'm going to go ahead, make my selection, hit Shift H, and then let's go in and add more width. And then at this point, we can just go and add more denoise. Blur, denoise, I can bring it down to like 10-ish. I think we should be good here. And now let's hit Shift H. I'm going to take my gamma and I'm going to start pulling in that warmth. Okay, so I'm just really going to go. So maybe we park it somewhere around here. So if I do before and after, that is a really, really push look. And I can actually see my key. So let's denoise it even more. So it's like now it's much better. All right. So extremely, extremely pushed, and it's going to hold through. So if we go through, like you can see, that latches on, and we created a really, really insane look. Now that we did that, let's create a new node. And here we were gonna grab her skin, remember? So I'm gonna go ahead and do this, and I'm gonna hit Shift H, and whoa, what is going on? If I add my width, like what is this? This is happening because we're borrowing information from a node prior, which is this, which is very close to her skin. And that's why this is the wrong idea. So I'm gonna go ahead, delete that. I'm gonna right click here. I'm gonna go back into my nodes, and I'm gonna select parallel node. And if you can see the links, it tells you the entire story. If I hit Shift H, now we got this node creating this effect. And if I click on our new node, it is borrowing information from this node right here. So we have the most separation, meaning if I go and grab her skin now, we're not going to run into that issue that we were facing before. And now we can just go ahead and like really blur this out by adding denoise, Shift H again, and now I can go in and just add a bit more yellow than like all this magenta that was in her skin. So barely any change, but that's what we were looking for, and we were able to grab the clean key instead of like what was going on before. So same rule applies to power windows. You don't want to have one after another. You want to stack them up in the same fashion so everything stays pretty clean. Number 3, outside node. It basically inverts the selection of the previous node, windows, qualifiers, etc. And I've already gone ahead and just did a base grade on my image so we can just focus on this particular node. So say you want to create a quick vignette, right? So you're going to go ahead, create something like this, a shape, move it around, maybe extend it to something like that, and then you would feather it out and invert it because we want to bring the exposure down on the outside so our eyes can focus where the action is happening. So I'm going to take my gamma, I'm going to pull this down. I'm going to keep it somewhere around here. So usually that's what you would do, right? And now if you want to create a new node and another shape, you will create a new shape and then go from there. But the beauty of the outside node is that you can just right click here, go under add node, and then you can just select add outside node, and look what it's doing. It's taking the key information, meaning it is taking the information from the shape of this and inverting it. So if I hit Shift H, you can see what it's doing. If I go to our initial node, remember we created a vignette, we inverted it so we can affect the outside. When we go to the outside, it is basically doing the opposite. It's leaving everything that this node is grabbing and it's inverting it. Right? So this is very useful because now we can come in here. This is our hero, right? So we can do a bunch of different things. I'm just going to give you an example. I'm going to do some exaggerative changes so you can really see what's going on. So even like saturation, if I bring this down, just to once again show you what we're doing. And this is dynamic, okay? So if I hit Shift H and go back here and move this window around, look what happens. When I go here, our changes move with it. So this is sort of like a null object in After Effects, and it's like this is a parent node, and then this is acting as a child. So if I bring this back over here again and go here, see, now our focus is borrowed by this node right here. So I use it all the time because it is so quick. Number 4, key mixer. This will help you combine multiple keys to apply a global correction through a single node. So let's put it to work. I'm going to go ahead and hit Option S to create a new node, and then just right click in this area, say add node, key mixer. The purpose of this node is simple. I'm going to take the key output from node number 3 and plug it in here. I'm going to take the key output from node number 4 and plug it in here. Then let's take the output from the key mixer and attach it to node number 6. And now if I hit Shift H, you will see exactly what's going on. So it's taking the data from node number 3 and 4, combining it. So hence the key mixer. So now what we can do is I can go under saturation, crank that up. I can go under my gain and bring that up. And I'm doing that, you know, I'm exaggerating the changes so you guys can see exactly what's going on. So look at this blue, look at this yellow, like we're exaggerating it. And instead of like individually making these changes, which will take twice as long, we were able to do that in one move. So that's the beauty of a key mixer. Moving on to another extremely powerful node, splitter combiner node. It creates a 3-node parallel mixer by isolating RGB color channels per node. That's a mouthful. Let's check out what I'm talking about here. So this shot is from a music video that I graded. So this is ungraded, and then here's the grade. We're not gonna worry about like what's going on over here. Let's focus on the combiner splitter node. So what you need to do is go ahead, right click here, and under add node, you're gonna say splitter, and it's gonna create something like that. So you're gonna take the output from there and send it through your splitter node. And it's basically splitting it into 3 different nodes. And you see the little colors here, red, green, and blue. So this is what's happening. These 3 nodes are going to be split up into those 3 channels. But we have to create those nodes. So we can just simply do corrector node, one corrector node, another corrector node, and another corrector node. So these are 3 nodes. We can put them right here. And now all I have to do is just connect this accordingly, right? So green goes here, blue goes here. And now we have to right click and say, create a combiner node. So don't let it confuse you that, all right, this is too much going on. Like, I don't want to use this. This is confusing. It's not that bad. Okay. So we have a splitter node that takes our last node and split it into 3 different nodes with 3 different channels, red, green, and blue. Then this combines it here. And now we can just take that and connect it. And as soon as we connect it, we basically get the same result that we were getting through here because we haven't made any changes yet. But now we know that this is our red channel, this is our green channel, this is our blue channel. So let's say I only want to affect the red channel. And I want to kind of add some glow and really pop that orange. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go in here, I'm going to type in glow. I can move this glow onto the red channel, change the composite mode to soft light, bring the shine threshold all the way back, and just look at what I'm doing. And at this point, I can start messing around here, and then I can go under my gamma and start raising it or bring it down, whatever I want to do. If I do on and off, look at the changes that we're making, and we're only affecting the red channel, okay? That's not the case if I were to hit Option S, create a new node, and then move this node over. I'm going to hold Option and I'm going to transfer this node over and I'm going to turn this off. So look at, if we would have done it just on a serial node, it would have affected everything. Whereas when you do it on a splitter node level, you're only affecting the red channel. So that's the beauty of it. That can also help you add noise reduction on the red channel. Let's say you're working on a shot and usually red channels get pretty noisy. So you can just go under here and add noise reduction only to your red channel. So this is a great way to isolate or create really cool effects on certain nodes. Like I can go under my blue channel in here and start like adding tons of blur, and it can create really cool effect. Like if I punch in here and show you this, like we're creating this crazy halation just by doing this. And it was done so simply. So if I take this and turn it on and off, like look what kind of interesting look we're creating through a splitter combiner nodes. This cannot be possible without this process right here. So a very, very powerful type of node inside Resolve. All right, now moving on to secrets to grading 8-bit footage. So first thing, you never want to push it too far, okay? Number 2, don't use qualifiers. Number 3, primaries over secondaries. Number 4, use HSL curves for secondaries. And 5, grain can help cover up banding. So now let's put that to work and let me show you what I'm talking about. So I'm going to go ahead and create a couple of nodes. I'm going to move this one over. This is shot on Sony a6500, which is a consumer camera in 8-bit S-Log3, okay? So I'm going to take my color space transform because one thing that you guys know that Sony has terrible color science when it comes to skin tones, especially with their lower end cameras. So if you use CST, it's going to give you some of the best results. So I'm going to go ahead and select Sony S-Gamut 3 Cine. And then in input gamma, I'm going to select S-Log3. Okay, as soon as I do that, we got our proper conversion. Now everything is in Rec 709. If I turn this off and show you this, we were already overexposed and also our white balance was more on the blue side. And we can even see that in the vector scope. See, everything is pushed toward that blue and the bottom right quadrant. So once we drop that on, it's only gonna convert our image to Rec 709, but it's not gonna take care of like all the other issues. So let's go attack it. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start off with my offset, try to pull the image from this cold back to a normal, proper white balance. So what do we see? We see too much blue here, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my offset and I'm gonna start taking some of that blue out. I'm gonna bring this image up somewhere around here. And if I do before and after, it's looking much better than before, okay? There's still a lot of blue up top, which now we're gonna go under our lift gamma gain, and I'm gonna take my gamma and I'm gonna try to even it out, okay? So I'm just literally looking at my gamma and try to even that out. And what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna keep it somewhere around here. I'm gonna take my offset and I'm gonna start pulling the entire image down. So our exposure is where it should be. So I'm gonna keep it somewhere around here. So if I do before and after, we did a lot in this one node. Okay, just look at it and how much balanced our image is now. I will take my gamma and I'm gonna try to pull some of the yellow out, okay? So I'm gonna go a little bit over here and I'm gonna just park it somewhere around here. And I'm gonna hover over her skin and look at our skin indicator. So just let's check to see where our skin is sitting. So our skin is sitting in a perfect position, okay, where it's supposed to be, which means we are making a very positive change in our image. So now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna leave this just like that, okay? And then I'm gonna go in here and I'm gonna use my custom curves to create some sort of like a look, okay? So I'm gonna grab it from here and I'm gonna start pushing it down somewhere around here. And then I'm gonna grab it from up here and I'm gonna start adding a little bit more contrast. So I'm gonna keep it somewhere around here. I'm gonna create another point right here. And that's usually what creates illusion of like good dynamic range. And you guys can even see that, right? Like it's bringing back a lot of the information in the sky. And I'm liking what it's doing. I'm gonna grab the bottom end and pull it up. And it creates a nice little S curve, like a film curve that we're used to seeing. So our image is actually looking really good just by making these changes. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go under my hue versus hue curves. So this is what we're in right now, hue versus hue. And I'm gonna take my cyan and start pushing it more towards cyan like that. I'm gonna take my blue and I'm gonna try to do the same thing, okay? So I'm trying to create a look now, okay? I'm not using qualifiers. I'm not trying to break my image, all right? I'm gonna try to rely on these tools as much as possible. I can actually grab this point and try to add a bit more contrast if I want to, okay? So even something like this, but see, all these changes are very, very gentle, all right? I'm not gonna crack my image. And now if I punch in and show you the degradation that might happen, it will be hard to see online, but with 8-bit footage, you're gonna get some artifacting, okay? Macro blocking that's happening right here. So in order to control that, I'm gonna go and type in grain, and I'm gonna just put this grain over, and I'm gonna go under here and change this to 16mm archival print. And if I do before and after, look at this. Like how it just, even in this area, right? Like there's a lot of this macro blocking going on here just because it's 8-bit image. It's not, it has nothing to do with the way we graded it. It's just because it's 8-bit image. So as soon as I drop the grain on, and if I just play it back, you guys can see how good it looks. And it almost feels like it's shot with a much higher end camera than say Sony a6500. So these will be my tips for you to implement when you're working with 8-bit footage. All right, now let's look at how to balance unsalvageable footage. So first, you're gonna use printer lights for global adjustments. Number 2, balance around skin tones. Number 3, balance around anchors, blacks, and whites. Once again, let's just jump right in and we can put all of this to practice. So here are these 3 shots that I'm gonna try to balance really fast. So just look at what's happening here. Tons of yellow here, tons of green here, and then tons of red here. All of these shots are converted from Alexa to Rec 709. So they're all shot on Alexa. So they are properly converted to Rec 709. And now let's just jump in and look at what's going on, right? So there's tons of red. So like I said, we're gonna start off with our printer lights or our offset. So I'm just gonna go right in there and start pulling this down. I'm just looking at my vector scope and I'm pulling this down until it starts to look somewhat normal. Okay, so even something like that, you might go, this doesn't look normal, but it is much better than where we were before. Look at this. Like, look at how balanced our image is looking now. Okay, so at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a bit more contrast. I'm going to use my S curves, and I'm just going to go here and lift this up. And then I'm going to create one more point, and I'm going to keep it somewhere around here. Take this. And this is looking pretty nice. And just look at it, guys. Okay? Like, this happened right away. And if I hover over her skin, look at the skin indicator and look at where my skin is sitting. So before, the skin was just all over the place. And then after correcting it, it's where it's supposed to be. Okay? So that's the first one. Let's go back in here. Let's jump into this shot now. And let's park on our hero frame right here. And once again, there's tons of green. So that's what we see here. We're going to start off with our offset. I'm going to pull that out. And I'm just focusing on her skin. And I'm going to park it somewhere around here. And if I do before and after, we are looking pretty good. But let's just see. Hold on. So this is looking way better, okay? Just look at, again, her skin tones here, her skin tones here, looking much better. And once again, I'm just going to create a little bit of a S-curve here. I'm going to really crank that up. And then another point to just have some contrast. And if we do before and after, I mean, just look at it, right? So like, our whites right now, as you can see, so like if I hover over to her skin, is looking perfect. There's a little bit of warmth, and that's because there's tungsten lights, okay? So that's what's creating this warmth. But if you want to pull this out, we can easily do that again by using our offsets. So like, look, I'm bringing that warmth down, but I'm not necessarily sacrificing for anything else. So if I go on her skin tones right now, and you can still see the skin tones are pretty good. Like, I mean, look at that, right? So like the skin tones are looking really good. So how green our image was to like where we ended up. And this is where we are for this image, okay? Just by using our offsets. And now we're gonna look at this shot right here. So let me park right here. This is a good frame. And like, just look at our skin tones right now where they're sitting. Okay, so this image is just absolutely gone. I'm gonna start with our offset. And I'm really going to just pull it down. I'm going to keep it somewhere around here. And now you look at all this blue, lifted blues right here. So we're going to control that by using our log wheel. I'm going to go under my shadows and I'm going to start pulling this blue down. Now there's like more green in our midtones. So I'm going to go under my gamma and I'm going to try to pull this down, okay? So I'm just going to even it out. I'm just looking at her skin. I'm looking at the white jacket that this girl is wearing. And I'm balancing that out. So just look at this, how fast that was. And once again, we're just going to create a little bit of S-curve, nothing too crazy. I'm going to pull this up. I'm going to have another point right here. And if we just look at it, guys, what we did and how we balanced it, I mean, look at this. Like right here. And boom, just like that. So these three shots, we were able to balance them out in seconds. So now you guys know how to properly balance any sort of footage. Now, shot matching basics and one size fits all no tree is going to be covered in depth during the Q&A section. And don't forget, you will get a downloadable version of the power grade that we're going to create in a one size fits all no tree and then use it however you like at the end of this training. All right, listen, told you resolve is easy, right? Piece of cake, done and done. Now, here's the thing. You should still get excited, and let me tell you why. It might have felt like you were drinking through a fire hose, right? Like just information overload. That is because there's only so much we can cover in a webinar. It doesn't matter. We could be here for 8 hours and I still can't cover everything. Now, fortunately, I literally took a decade worth of experience and trickled it into this course that I call Freelance Colorist Masterclass. It is genuinely the ultimate roadmap that you need to go from start to finish and everything in between. If you want to have a sustainable, profitable career as a freelance filmmaker, as a freelance colorist, this course has everything for you. And before I even jump in to my course and tell you what's included, let's talk about why I even created it. I personally had to learn the hard way. Okay, when I started color grading, there were no options out there. There's not even any how-to courses out there or YouTube videos. So it was tons of trial and error. And unfortunately, at times, it cost me clients just because I was new. I wasn't that good. And clients, if they see that, they don't want to come back. You know, they just want to move on. And to be a true professional, you need to know the why behind the how. Okay, that's what separates you. That's what makes you somebody's go-to guy or girl. All right. And 99% of the courses, even to this day out there, are all about the how-to. They show you where the knob is and what it does and things like that. Nobody is turning you into a tastemaker. And that's where my course comes in. Okay. Freelance Colorist Masterclass teaches you the why behind the how. Okay. How to turn your hard skills into a sustainable career. That means everything. I know too many people that are killing the game in terms of their skill set, but they cannot turn that into profit. They're suffering and they have these full-time jobs that are not even remotely close to what their skill set is, just because they don't know how to translate their hard skills into something that's sustainable as a career. This course is basically 10 courses into one, and you will know exactly what I'm talking about. So let's just jump right in. This is the big picture. This is the overview of the entire masterclass. So you have 10 core modules, but then we have 6 sub-modules that I'm going to share with you in a moment. So let's just deep dive a little bit and go through each module so you can get an idea of what's covered. Conform is that process where you bring your footage in and out of Resolve, okay? And you're going to learn everything about it. And just look how funny that is. Like on the left side, all this content is just on top of like what is in this module. So when you're downloading the course materials for Conform, you can just go ahead and take your time, watch all this stuff on the left side and get familiar with DaVinci Resolve. If you're a beginner, I tell everybody that you do not need any skills to take this course. If you are just a filmmaker and you have never used Resolve before, this is a perfect course for you, okay? Then we move on to cameras module. This is where you're going to learn how to get the best image out of whatever camera it is that you're using. So you can see it on the right-hand side: Alexa, Red, Canon, a Pocket 4K, Sony a6500, DJI. I've pretty much covered every major camera under the sun here. You're also going to get manufacturers' LUT packs. So these are some things that are really hard to find sometimes on your own. So you're going to get access to that here, just one click, and you'll have the right LUT from the manufacturer for your specific camera. So all that is included here. Then we jump into the bread and butter as a colorist. Color correction is everything, okay? A lot of people skip through this because it just sounds kind of boring. But I can tell you right now, 90% of my paycheck comes from this skill right here. Clients are not looking for experimentation most of the time. They want their stuff to look clean. That's it. That's all you're going to get. They're going to say, make it pop, make it look clean, done and done. And nothing is going to help you with that more than color correction and this module in particular. Then we jump into probably everybody's biggest problem, which is shot matching. So sure, you get really good at grading one shot. You spend 4 hours on it, then you move on to the next shot. Well, on a documentary, you'll usually have thousands of shots. On a music video, you can have up to 300, 400 shots, and you have to do it all in a day, right? Like that's the time frame that you will have. So how can you do that? You have to learn how to shot match. There's so many tools, hidden tools inside Resolve that you need to learn in order to do that right. Everything is covered in this module and then some, and you obviously going to get practice footage so you can like really follow along everything that I'm showing you. Then we're going to jump into probably everybody's favorite module, color grading. This is where you become a tastemaker. This is where you're going to become somebody's go-to guy or girl. This is where you become irreplaceable. Okay. And just look at the kind of looks that we're going to be creating. Stuff that's very hot right now and very in. Like this is what's happening right now. So I'm going to show you how to do that in the fastest way possible. So this is not going to be like what you see on my YouTube where we have like 26 nodes going on to create like a film look. Here, we're going to create a La La Land look by 2-3 nodes. So I'm going to show you like really a pros approach when it comes to getting inspired by looks and getting in the wheelhouse instead of just like, oh, I have 100 nodes to create this one shot, because that's just not sustainable. So you're going to learn all of that in this module, okay? Then we move on to studio setup. I mean, come on, how many of you have asked me about budget monitor? What kind of computer do I need? What kind of paint do I need for my room? Everything is covered in here, okay? Regardless of your budget. Like if you have unlimited money, if you are just a come up, if you are broke and you have $0, how can we maximize and hook you up with equipment that's going to get you started? So there is no hurdle when it comes to like, hey, I want to be a colorist, but I just don't have the money, so I can't take these jobs. I'm going to help you out. I'm even going to show you how to find the best deals in this module. So like a lot of value packed in there, okay? Then we move on to one of my favorite modules in the course, freelance module, and literally it's freelance colorist masterclass for a reason, okay? Because I take a lot of pride in that. If any of you have been following me, you're seeing my journey, right? Like 2 years ago, no social media presence, 0 followers everywhere, and 2 years later, where we are, and 4,000 plus members in the masterclass. I mean, that is incredible, especially for the price point and for this many people to join the masterclass. It blows my mind. It's because the stuff works. The stuff that's in here works. This module alone, people that took it seriously, their career just skyrocketed, okay? So stuff here really works, and I just get granular. This is not high-level stuff. This is like me showing you how to build an invoice, how to present an invoice so you can start charging more for your work, how to come off professional. It's not fake it till you make it. It is like, hey, how do you become that? Where you get what you're worth. So all that is going to be covered in here. Then we're going to move on to the bonus module. This is like one-off stuff, like things that I hear in our private community or whatnot. And people are just like, hey, can you show us how to do the gamma shift fix? Or can you show us a clean white look, blah, blah, blah. What does it even mean? So then I went ahead and made these one-off videos, and all those are going to be in the bonus module. YouTube module is pretty self-explanatory. Everything in here is going to be footage that I have access to use. I bring it in here, videos that are like bangers on YouTube, and then I give you access to the footage so you guys can like really practice along and get a closer match, or just do your own thing with the footage that was used in the tutorial. Professional work, this is something that you will not see anywhere else. Just, I promise you, no other course offers this, okay? So this, you're gonna get access to the project files with the footage of actual professional work that I've done. So whether it's TV commercials, documentaries, or music videos, you're going to get access to all of that. So you're going to see what was going through my head when I built those looks. And then you're going to have that footage to either create that or just get inspired by what I did and just take it a step further. You will be able to do that in this module, okay? And now, look at this. Remember I told you there's 6 sub-modules? Check this out. We have a whole section for DaVinci Resolve 17, what's new, and then we have 10 tips to grade 10 times faster in DaVinci Resolve. We have DaVinci Resolve Nodes 101, anybody that just has questions about different nodes in Resolve. Intro to HDR-ready workflow, that's a big one, and this is where the world is headed right now. And then advanced film emulation process and ACES for beginners. So guys, come on. Tell me one course that covers more stuff when it comes to color grading out there. And there won't be one, I promise you, because this course is dynamic, meaning I'm constantly adding stuff to it. ACES for beginners was just added a couple of weeks ago. There's another section that I'm going to be adding soon. So stuff is coming in. Anytime something interesting is happening, I'll take that, I'll bring it in. You don't have to pay any extra for that, just so you know. It is well over 25 hours of content now. I don't know why haven't I updated this yet. 150 videos, it's well over 230 videos, training videos now. So what's inside FCM? Now you've seen the overview. Now let's just summarize it, right? So you're getting 10 modules. Think of each module as like a 2-day boot camp. Any of you that have done an on-site boot camp, you know what I'm talking about. So, you'll go and they'll say intro to color grading, and they'll teach you a couple of things in there, and it'll be a 2-day boot camp. And think of these modules like that, but 10 of them. And then we are not even including the sub modules. You get access to the private Facebook group, and you have lifetime membership, for that, okay? And we hold weekly competitions there where you get tailor-made feedback. Again, tell me one other course that does that, like where you didn't only get the on-demand program, but you're getting so much more on top of it. And to top it all off, you get cash prizes when you participate in that competition. Winner gets $1,000 USD. Runner-ups get $300 each. So there's $1,600 worth of cash prizes in this competition. Networking opportunities. Because the price of the course is pretty high, you only get quality people in the group. So if you thought this was exciting, wait till you get to this. Discounts and perks. This is going to blow your mind. 30% off Film Convert products. This is website wide. So any product from them, you get 30% off. 25% off Dehancer. 20% off Color Lab AI. Once again, all the products on their website. 20% off Motion VFX. 40% off Shot Deck. And 10% off on DaVinci Resolve if you're in the United States. And I'm telling you, there's not a single movie or high-end commercial out there that doesn't use third-party plugin. DaVinci Resolve is just a skeleton. It's just like a software. It's just a foundation. Then you're going to build on top of that foundation with third-party plugins. That's how it works in the real world, okay? I don't remember the last gig that I worked on where I didn't use either Dehancer or Color Lab AI. So imagine this, like when you get the course, you get all these discounts for these products that you're going to be buying anyways. And I'm so proud to partner up with all these brands because I believe in them. I've used every single one of them out there. Now check out the snapshot from season 2 winner, Brian. And look at this, PayPal $1,000 USD. So he won the first place. He got the reward for it. And just look at his progress. The top image right here is Ford versus Ferrari. And look at his interpretation of that. Here's Joker and then his one-to-one match. Here's Mad Max and his one-to-one match. I mean, the type of talent that we have in there or what happens during these competitions, it's unbelievable, okay? The kind of progress people make in these challenges. So at this point, you're probably wondering, dude, just stop talking. Tell me how much it is and how can I sign up? Now, before we do that, I do want to take a second and want you to look at this, okay? Just look at everybody that's taken FCM and the results that they have achieved. Jake is only 22. He's running a 6-figure business. And look at the companies that he's worked with. Porsche, DJI, and some of the top-end creators that you can think of on YouTube. He's collaborated with them. Look at Cameron. Again, remember I was talking about the networking thing? He got hooked up with one of the guys in FCM, quit his full-time job, which he wasn't even going for color grading. Like that wasn't even his interest. He was doing something else. He took my course, got into color grading, made a connection through our Facebook group, quit his full-time job, became a freelance colorist full-time. That's what he's doing. Go on his page on Instagram and look at the kind of stuff that he's putting out, working with some of the best artists in the business. Prateek is only 17. He's in India, absolutely destroying the competition right now, okay? He's worked with Nikon, he's worked with Pampers and some of the best brands in India right now. The dude is 17. Didn't know anything about color grading before FCM, and this is what he's doing right now. Marietta has achieved ridiculous results. Nick Watson is a professional photo retoucher. His pedigree, like the brands that he's worked with, is unbelievable. Still, he took the masterclass and said it completely changed his life when it comes to color grading motion picture instead of like photo stills. Like it all made sense and he took off. Once again, he is working on high-end commercials right now as a colorist now on the motion picture side. Brian just pretty much taken over the market in Brazil. Think of any big artist over there that's putting out music videos that are getting like hundreds of millions of views. Brian is grading them. He is also grading all the F1 content when it comes to teaser, trailers, all that stuff that they put out, like the newest F1 championship. He's the main dude who's grading that stuff. Chloe is absolutely killing the game. Like everybody that you're seeing on this list right here, these guys are achieving, again, unimaginable results. They were not colorists. They were not established as colorists. They didn't even know anything about color grading. They took the course and it just took off. So let's look at the traditional map for a second, right? Like you go to school, like, you go for your bachelor's in film or something like that. You spend 4 years learning outdated information. And in the United States, you're going to, on average, spend around $60,000 USD. Think about the time that's wasted learning, like I said, outdated information. and who can do teach. And I'm not trying to take a shot at these guys, okay? Because somebody can turn around and say, hey, you're doing the same thing. Well, the difference here is that I've created a product that people want. I've created a course, and now it's an on-demand program. You just buy it and you have it. You don't have to wake me up, and I don't have to show up at 7 a.m. and teach you every day. So basically, I am a full-time practitioner. I'm running a company. I have employees. I'm a businessman first, and then I'm an artist second. So like, it's a completely different world, okay? So that's all I'm trying to say. Whereas here, a teacher would have a 9-to-5 job making $30,000 or $40,000, and they won't have any time to then be practitioners and direct their stuff, or be the cinematographer, colorist, or anything like that. So that's just what I mean, okay? It makes a difference to learn from a practitioner or learn from somebody who's just teaching you theory. On-site boot camps is another option when it comes to traditional roadmap, but you have limited access. So like, yes, you're going to get like hotshot colorists that want to teach you for a 1 to 2 day boot camp, but it's going to be either in Berlin or Paris or London or New York or LA or Chicago or something like that. They're not going to go to some remote area in India and teach you this stuff. Like, that's just not going to happen. So that already excludes majority of the people out there that want to learn color grading. And these courses are really expensive. Like, a boot camp will start at $1,200 teaching you color grading 101. A 2-day boot camp, you're not even going to walk away with any course materials. You're going to walk away with just like a notebook full of notes. And it's set in a group setting, meaning they're not necessarily focusing on you one-on-one, unlike what I said, like where you get tailor-made feedback weekly in our course. So now let's do a FCM cost breakdown. Okay, so if the school is costing you $60,000, boot camp is another option, which is $1,200, then how much should FCM cost? Let's check it out. So if we have 10 modules and each module is like a boot camp, then the math is simple, right? Like, I'll just round up the number. I won't even do 12 times 10. I'll just do 1,000 times 10, which will be $10,000. That means you're getting $10,000 worth of information in this masterclass just from those modules. And we are not even including the sub-modules. Now let's talk about the private Facebook group. I am putting a price on it for only $1,500, but like I said, you're getting lifetime access to that one-on-one mentorship sort of deal. So it should be way more than that, but let's just say it's $1,500 for weekly competition, tailor-made feedback. Not to mention, you actually get money. You make money, so you can win up to $1,000. Nick Watson has won 2 FCM challenges, so he's actually made $2,000 so far just from this competition. Runner-ups get $300. So if we were to round up this number, just for the argument's sake, the value packed in FCM is about $11,500 worth. So just bear with me now. Imagine this. Let's say I sell you FCM at $11,500, okay? For the argument's sake. Let's say this. Say you join FCM today. 1 year from now, you're working with 3 solid clients, okay? Each bringing you $2,500 a pop. And this is not made up information. This is data taken from my FCM members. So $2,500 each, $7,500 a month is what you're making right now. Once you do that, you will be able to pay off this course in less than 2 months. And then after that, every single cent that you make is pure profit. So tell me that that's not a bargain. But obviously, it's ludicrous. I'm not going to sell you that course for $11,500, right? Like, you already figured that out, because the main reason is I love you and I won't do that to you. So I won't sell it to you for $11,500. But how about this? How about I give you all of this, 10 modules, private group, personalized feedback, cash prizes, discounts and perks, all of that for $997. Come on. I don't care where you're from. For all the value that I just explained to you that you're getting, and getting a dynamic course, weekly competitions for $997, tell me that is not a steal? Look at the price right now. This is the price of the course right now. If you go online, it's $997 for a lump sum payment. But one more thing, webinar special. For the next 15 minutes, you can join my masterclass for the next 15 minutes for only $497. I'm not joking. There's going to be a timer with the link. All you have to do is on the right-hand side of your screen, there's 3 little dots. You see the 3 little dots? You have to click on it. So it gives you the call to action. It gives you the link that you have to click to join for $497. You have 15 minutes to do that. You'll have a timer, clear timer that's going to be going off. And then after that, you will have additional 15 minutes to join FCM for only $597. So if you missed the first window for $497, you will have the second window to decide and get it for $597. But I hope you don't wait for the next window. Just get it for $497, from $997 to $497, guys. So this special offer will not be available after this webinar. Just know that. These offers are going to be available for 30 minutes. As soon as we end the training, it's done, okay? So a quick review, special offer. You get modules, 10 modules plus the 6 sub-modules for $10,000 value. You get private Facebook group, $1,500 worth of value. Weekly competition, tailor-made feedback, cash prizes so you can actually make money, $1,000 for a winner, $300 for runner-up. Everything included, $11,500 worth of value for only $497. And if that's not enough, let me say one more thing. You should be able to see the link on your screen right now. Like I said, hit those 3 dots so you can see the link. And cherry on top, it all comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you're not satisfied, and if you give me a half-decent reason that, hey, because of X, Y, and Z, I don't think this is my cup of tea, you will get your money back. All right, so let's look at why is it important to have your CST applied downstream. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create 3 nodes. Let's set them apart. And usually what people do is they have their CST either on the first node or second. So let's apply it to the second node, okay? And we know that this stuff was shot on Alexa Mini, so we're going to set it accordingly. The Rec 709 conversion is done. Now let's go in our first node. And just for the example's sake, I'm going to take my gain and really crank it up, okay? Something like that. When you apply your CST midstream or upstream, the problem that happens is that you can go downstream and try to bring that information back. So I'm going to go back in my gain and I'm going to try to bring it back. Look what's happening. It's coming back. It looks like it's coming back, but not really. It's still clipped up top, and you'll know exactly what I mean. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and grab that still. And now I'm going to hit E to basically detach this node from our node tree. And then I'm going to go ahead and attach it downstream. And as soon as I do that, look what happens. Look how we recover our information. All right, so now if we bring this image back, I'm going to hit Command W to bring this up, and you can clearly see when we didn't apply our CST properly, look what's happening. Okay, so look at the highlights up there, and I'm going to do a wipe. So the wipe is the image where the CST was applied midstream instead of downstream, and then this is our final image where the CST is applied properly downstream. And now look at these highlights right here. So I'm going to scroll it over, and look how everything got muddied. And this is why, guys, applying your nodes properly in Resolve can definitely make or break your grade. All right, guys, so for those that are watching this in full screen, you might see 3 dots right here in this area. So go ahead, tap on that. And once you do that, it is going to give you the link to the course. And then once you click on the link, you are gonna be prompted to this website right here. And this is where you can sign up for the masterclass. And you have 2 different options. You can pay lump sum one payment of $497. As you can see, the course actually sells for $997, but right now you can get it for $497. You can click here and get the course for one payment of $497, or you can choose 3 monthly payments of only $198.33 if you don't want to make a lump sum payment. And you can also choose the payment plan here instead of making a lump sum payment. So this is how you sign up for the masterclass. You can also click on the course overview and see everything, the table of contents, everything that's included in the course. So just guys, look at how much content we have in there. And the beautiful thing about this is that there's going to be a few videos that are available for a preview. So you can actually get a better sense for the pace of the course and what to expect inside this course. So see, there's a bunch of videos that are available for a preview, even if you haven't joined FCM yet. So once again, you have 2 payment options: buy it in lump sum or make a payment plan. And once again, we have to make sure we apply the proper coupon to get the right price. So now it's $497 or $198.33, and you can pick a payment plan, 3 monthly payments or one-time payment of $497 to get access to the course. Here's my one-size-fits-all node tree. This node tree is perfect for music videos, commercials, films, documentaries, corporate videos, and branded content. So let's check it out. And the exciting news about this node tree is that you guys are going to be getting that at the end of the video. You're going to have a link where you can download this exact node tree and use it however you like. So we start off with our CST, and it's downstream because you never want to choke your footage upstream, okay? You want to play around in here in your log space, and then you want to, at the end, make sure that it gets converted properly for your display, which will be Rec 709. If it's HDR, then you'll set it to HDR settings. But here, let's just say we go ahead and change it to Alexa. Input color space and input gamma is going to be log C because this is shot on Alexa. And then if I don't put any information here, that means it's converting to Rec 709 because that's what my project is set to. And I can show you right here, Rec 709 gamma 2.4. Okay, so it is converting it properly and it's looking perfectly fine, which means we're doing a proper conversion. So the way this node tree is built out is this, okay? Your primaries is where you're going to do your basic adjustments. So right now I'm going to pull out some of that red. So now this is looking pretty good. And then I'm going to go under here and maybe add a little bit of contrast. So something like this, like let's just add some pop. This is where we're at right now. So once we do our primaries, we got tons of different options, okay? So this node is our highlight compression. So if I hit Shift-H, you can see what it's grabbing. It's grabbing all the problematic areas right now that are almost clipping. They're not necessarily clipping, but they're on the verge of clipping, okay? And then these, I have them here for qualifiers, but I would say you can even use them as HSL curves. So if you want to specifically adjust something, like if I go in here and I go, you know what, I don't like this blue anymore. I want to change it to something else. I want to change it to teal or anything like that. I can do that. Same thing with my yellow. I want to change my yellow to like red or something like that. I can do it here. So you can use your HSL curves or you can use this node as your qualifier, okay? And then these are perfect. These are already pre-built for you. Sky, hero, which is going to be your main object, and then ground. So in this case, if I hit Shift-H, you can see what's happening, okay? It's a gradient window that's selecting only the top. So what I can do here is I can just go under my gamma and pull the top down to like really keep our focus right here. And these nodes are already created. Once again, I can go and do the same thing under my ground. I can just pull this down, not too much, but just something like that. And now my main focus is in the middle. Beautiful thing about this is that I can just go and really modify the shape a little bit and something like this, and then just add tons of softness. And now I can go in here, grab my gamma and pull this up. And just like that, by using these three nodes that were already prepared for us, we created a really cool effect. And now I can go under my highlight node and I want to bring some of these highlights back because they're borderline clipping. So I can go under my highlight slider and start cranking that back and just look what's happening. Like this was already created. I didn't have to do anything. This power grade had us covered. And now in our look adjustment, if we want to create some sort of fun look, we can do that here. So I can go under my offset and start, you know, messing around with it. And like, if I just really want to create like this steely, you know, like stylized look, I can do that here. Whatever I want to do in my look adjustment. And then again, you would ripple that change across all your shots, and then you will have your final grade and you can just move on and print it. So guys, this is my go-to node tree for majority of my projects. And like I said, you guys are going to be getting this right here at the end of the video. You'll be able to download it and apply it to all your future projects. All right, let's take a look at how to set up your resolve color management when you're using DaVinci Wide Gamut. So click on your project settings right here. And instead of your color science set to DaVinci YRGB, you're going to go ahead and set it to color managed. And then under here, resolve color management presets, we're going to select DaVinci Wide Gamut. And that's about it. It's all set, ready to go for you. So just go ahead and hit save. Nothing happens. So one more step that you have to take is going to be right clicking on your clip or bunch of clips, and then go under input color space, and you gotta notify resolve which camera you're using. So this is shot on Alexa Mini. So once I select the right color science, everything gets converted to Rec 709 and it looks perfect. I'm ready to go. Same thing will go with your Canon C-Log 2 or Sony S-Log 3, whatever have you. Okay, so same rule will apply. And working in Resolve Color Management is as simple as that. All right, so now let me show you how to set up your project in ACES CCT. So click on your project settings right here. Under Color Science, go ahead and select ACES CCT. That's our working space inside Resolve when it comes to grading in ACES, okay? One important thing that you need to do is under your ACES ODT or Output Device Transform, you need to select Rec 709. If this is where your content is going to be viewed, you need to select the right color space, okay? If it's going to be viewed in Rec 2020, then you're going to select differently than Rec 709. But here, we're going to leave it at Rec 709. We're going to hit save, and everything looks weird. There's one more step that we need to do. Just like what we did with our RCM, same thing here. We're going to have to right click and go under ACES Input Transform, and we need to let it know. So this stuff was shot on Alexa. As soon as we select Alexa, everything looks proper. And now you're ready to grade in ACES CCT. So you have multiple payment options to join FCM. You can do a lump sum payment or you can do 3 monthly payments, okay? You can also pay by using PayPal or any credit card regardless of the country you're in. So the setups that I showed you for DaVinci Wide Gamut and ACES are project-based. I'm not a huge fan of that because there will be times when you will feel stuck. You bring in footage with different cameras or different types of color science that ACES doesn't like or DaVinci Wide Gamut doesn't like, and it's going to throw off your entire grade. So I want to show you a different, much more flexible way to go about it, okay? And that's going to be node-based. Now I'm going to go ahead and create 2 new nodes, and we're going to put this over here and call it IDT, Input Device Transform, and we're going to call this ODT, Output Device Transform. And in here, I'm going to show you how to set up DaVinci Wide Gamut node-based first. So in here, I'm going to drop on Color Space Transform. Here, we're going to do a similar thing. We're going to say, hey, this stuff is shot on Alexa, okay, in log C. And output color space, I want you to kick this out as DaVinci Wide Gamut, and gamma output is going to be DaVinci Intermediate. Now, one thing that I should have shared with you is that the timeline color space, we're going to set it to DaVinci Wide Gamut and Intermediate, and it's because we want everything in here, all the tools to behave as DaVinci Wide Gamut, because that's the advantage of using that specific color space. And with Resolve 17, you have color space aware tools, so everything is going to behave very differently if you don't set this up properly. And under ODT, I'm going to drop color space transform again. And in here, we're going to basically tell it, hey, the stuff that is coming in is DaVinci Wide Gamut and DaVinci Intermediate. And then we're going to tell it, hey, our ODT or Output Device Transform is Rec 709. And here we're going to do Gamma 2.4. And as soon as we do that, everything looks proper. And now all our grading is going to take place in here. So we can have as many nodes as we want. We will not mess with our IDT or ODT. If you were to run into a problem where some of your colors go nuclear or your highlights are just not recoverable, you can hit Shift S to create a node prior to your IDT and make adjustments on this level. That's the beauty of working in your node-based, color-managed environment versus project-based. And now let me show you if you want to set up an ACES in this node-based environment. So we're going to go ahead and create 2 extra nodes, and this time we're going to push this over, put this in the middle, and again, we're going to call this IDT, and we're going to call this guy ODT. And instead of using color space transform, we're going to use ACES transform. So I'm going to drop that on, and let's make a few changes here as well. We're going to go under DaVinci Wide RGB, and in here, I'm just going to select ACES CCT. And that's because I want all my tools to behave in ACES CCT environment, because that's the whole advantage of using ACES in the first place. So in here, make sure that you select ACES 1.2. Under Input Transform, we're going to do Alexa, and in Output Transform, we're going to do ACES CCT. So it's all the way down here. And then we're going to go to our ODT, drop ACES Transform, And in the first one, we're going to do ASUS CCT, and it's going to look all weird, but that's okay. It's showing you linear color space, but we're going to go and select Rec 709 because our ODT is going to be Rec 709. And as soon as I do that, everything looks perfect. And once again, now you can just go ahead, grade in here, and then anytime something unexpected happens, you can hit Shift S, go before your IDT, and make those adjustments. And that's something that you cannot do if your ASUS color space is set up project-wide. All right, so with Resolve 17, we get this excellent tool that used to be a third-party plugin, but now is part of the Resolve suite, and I'm talking about false color. So let's say in a shot like this, we're just not really sure if our skin tones are sitting where they're supposed to be. I can go ahead and create a new node by hitting Option S, go under false color in your OFX, drop that on, and as soon as I drop it on, it tells us the entire story objectively. So you see, this is where your skin tones are supposed to be. And right now, majority of my skin is falling right below where it's supposed to be, okay? So now I can go in my previous node where I can make those adjustments. I can go under my global offset and just start cranking that up and see like how now the pink is going over her forehead, and I'm gonna keep it somewhere around here. So this is where I want the scene to be because she got perfect skin tones here. And then this is a little bit even brighter than where her skin should be sitting, which is perfect because this is supposed to be a dream sequence. So without even looking at our actual image, we made that decision objectively. And if I turn this off, look how great it looks compared to what we had before. And once you're done using your false color, you can either just turn that node off or you can delete it completely. I would just like turn it off and still leave it there. And that's how you use your false color in Resolve. All right, anyone that missed the opportunity to get the masterclass for $497, no big deal. You still have one more shot. For the next 15 minutes, you're gonna be able to join FCM for $597 instead of $997. So you're still getting $400 off. Do not miss that opportunity. You have 15 minutes. Let's go. All right, so whether you're working on the Mac side or PC, when stuff gets uploaded to YouTube, pretty much 99.9% of the people are disappointed because it doesn't look exactly like what you saw in Resolve. Okay, so let me help you get as close as possible to what we see here. And this is going to absolutely blow your mind, all right? So this is how it goes. Couple of different steps that we have to take. So first of all, when you export from Resolve, do not export using any of these settings, okay? Do not even export using H.264. Just go ahead and do your proper ProRes if you're on the Mac side. If you're on the PC side, do your DNxHR export, and that could be as high as 444XQ. If you're working with 12-bit or more image, or if you're working with 10-bit image, you can even set it to 422HQ. You should be good, okay? We're not gonna change anything here. We're not gonna manually tag anything. We're gonna leave it as same as project. And right now, same as project is what? It is Rec 709 Gamma 2.4, okay? And once you're done with that, go ahead, hit add to render, render this out as is, like you see on the screen. And once it's done, we're gonna go here on Chrome and type in Handbrake, okay? And then once you type in Handbrake, go under downloads. And depending on if you're on PC, Linux, Mac, whatever have you, go ahead, download the software, okay? Once it's downloaded, let's open this up. So now that we have this open, I'm gonna just bring in one of my ProRes clips. It's gonna take a second to scan it, and then it's gonna pop it right in here. And now all you have to do is this. Start with a preset. So click right here, go under web, select Vimeo YouTube HQ 4K. So I'm just, for the sake of this example, let's say it's a 4K video in 24p. So I'm gonna select that, but now we have to make a few changes, okay? So this web optimized that's checked on, that is the sauce. That's what makes up for the little watered down effect that happens when you upload something straight to YouTube, okay? So it's gonna take care of that for you. It's gonna compensate for it in the right way. So let's go under video, and in here under FPS, I'm gonna click on that and say same as source, because I don't want it to turn it into 60 FPS because the video is not in 60 frames. It's in 24 frames. So I'm going to change it to same as source. So now we never have to worry about it. And then instead of having a variable frame rate, I'm going to change that to constant frame rate. And under our average bit rate, instead of like letting it select for us, I'm going to click on here and then give it a specific number. And I'm going to give it 45,000. Now, how did I come up with that number? It's pretty simple. I Googled YouTube bitrate, and this is the first link that pops up, and you can see what YouTube recommends for SDR, standard dynamic range videos, okay? So for 4K, they don't want you to exceed 45,000 kilobits per second or 45 megabits per second. And if it's HDR, you can go up to 56 megabits per second, and that's for standard frame rate, 24 frame or 30 frame. If it's HFR, which is high frame rate, you can go up to 68,000 kilobits per second or 68 Mbps, okay? So now that we saw that, we're gonna come back here, we're gonna set it to 45,000 kilobits per second. At this point, don't worry about changing this every single time. Once you make these changes, you can just go ahead and hit save new preset, and here just call it YouTube. I can call it YouTube, if I can spell it correctly, YouTube 4K or UHD, whatever you like, and then hit just add, and it will be saved under here. Next time you can go under my presets and select YouTube 4K, and boom, it'll pop that up. Now for 1080p, the story is totally different. You see right here, 8,000 kilobits per second or 8 megabits per second, meaning we're gonna have to change this number to 8,000, and then we can save new preset and go from there. Or as you can see, I've already created one for YouTube HD, and as soon as I hit that, I go there, and if I hit 4K, it'll change it to 45,000. Again, YouTube HD, it changes it to 8,000, and at that point, you're just gonna hit start, select a location where you wanna save it, hit start, and then let it run. And guys, I'm telling you, it's gonna blow your freaking mind. Once it exports, upload it to YouTube, it's gonna look exactly like what your ProRes or DNX HR looks like. It is so clean, it's unreal. And a lot of the magic is happening with Handbrake, plus restricting your data to what YouTube recommends. All right, so once you sign up for the masterclass, regardless of your payment option, so even if you do a lump sum payment of $497 or 3 monthly payments, after you make the first payment of $198.33, you will get full access to the course. And not just that, you get lifetime access to FCM. That includes the course materials, all the lessons, your access to the private Facebook community, and even all the discounts that we have available. So you get lifetime access to all of it as soon as you join FCM today. All right, so I'm gonna show you how to create a film look from scratch really, really fast. So we've already applied our CST, which is doing a proper conversion to Rec 709. We're gonna leave that as is. We're gonna go here. Overall, I feel like the image can use some exposure boost. So I'm gonna go under my offset. I'm gonna raise it up somewhere around here. I'm gonna take my lift. I'm gonna bring it down. I'm gonna take my gamma, lift it up, gain or lift down, and this is looking good. And now what I wanna do is, there's just too much red in my highlight. So I'm gonna take my gain and I'm gonna pull this down a little bit, okay? So even something like that, it is looking much better. I'm gonna leave this here. Now we're gonna go in here and we're gonna create a film look. So one of the characteristics of the film look is that the S-curve on the toe is kind of lifted and very gentle and soft, okay? So to do that, we're gonna have to compress our shadows. I'm gonna lift that up. I'm gonna bring that up quite a bit. And then we're gonna take our highlights, and to have nice roll-offs, I'm gonna do the same thing. So if I turn this on and off, look at the waveform right here. We're compressing the highlights and the shadows, okay? So this looks like log, like what did I just do? So the beauty starts right here. Now I'm gonna create a point here, and I'm gonna start pulling this down. And then I'm gonna create another point right here, and I'm gonna start pulling it up. And now we're gonna have another point here, and I'm gonna keep it somewhere around here. And now we're gonna adjust this point right here, and look at what I'm doing with my blacks. Now, the beautiful thing about creating a curve like that, if I go in here and do before and after, you see how gentle like the toe is, and how it just like tapers off instead of like chopping the shadows. And this is the beauty of a film curve, okay? And we were able to create that so easily and gently. And now I can just take this and keep moving it around until I'm happy. And I feel like even right here, we have the right amount of pop and it just has like a really, really nice filming look. Now you can get pretty involved and create another point right here and keep moving it like where the highlights got the right punch if you want to do something like that. So even something like that, now it has a much better punch. And at this point, I can just go and do one more thing, which would be under my sat versus sat, I will take my saturated areas and I will just pull this down a little bit, okay? So even like something like that. And that will just always control my most saturated areas. And now what I want to do is I want to go under my gamma and gain. I'm going to go under my gain and start adding a lot of warmth. And then I'm going to go under my gamma and I'm going to level that out. And I'm just looking at my clubs and I just want to make sure that the clubs look good, regardless of like the grade that we're doing. And this is kind of stylized and it looks kind of good. And if I do before and after, it's really cool. I can even add a bit more warmth. And then again, go back into my gamma and just make sure that the clubs are looking nice. So even something like that, now we have a pretty strong grade going on and our clubs are still looking nice. And at this point, if you just kind of go, dude, the curves action that we did here is just a bit much, then you can come in here and control the opacity of that right here. You can move this around and that is independent to the grade that we created in here using our gamma and gain. So that's the beauty of it. It's very different than being in here and changing the entire output of our node. Here, we're individually isolating the custom curve from our lift gamma gain operation. So I can just keep it somewhere around here. Personally, I like it all the way. I think it's really, really cool. And guys, this is how you create a custom film curve in Resolve extremely quickly without using any film LUTs. Moving on to everybody's favorite subject, how to nail skin tones every time. Number one, fall in love with the vector scope, and I'm going to show you how to set up your scopes for skin tones, balance your image around skin tones, grade your image around skin tones, isolate skin tones using HSL curves or qualifiers. Once again, let's jump right into Resolve and see what I'm talking about. So I've already converted this image to Rec 709. It's shot on Alexa. All right, so the first thing that we want to do before we even jump into balancing this shot is set up our vector scope. So I'm going to go into OneUp really quick, and just to show you, let's go under vector scope. And in our vector scope, usually your scopes are going to be like this. So I want you to do a couple of things here. Go under your graticule and like just make it much bigger so you can actually really see and make everything legible. And then another thing that you need to do is show a skin tone indicator. Click that on, and now you can see what's happening with the skin tone. Now, one more thing that I will recommend you guys do is display qualifier focus. What does that mean? If I hover over her skin, you can see what's going on and see how far off it is from like where it's supposed to be. It's so far to the left to like in the middle of that skin indicator, and that's where we need to go. So now I'm going to go back into our 4UP. I'm going to change that back to waveform, and I'm just going to make sure that this one is set to what I just shared with you. So now we're ready to go. I'm going to move this over down here. Let's go under our offset, and I'm going to start pulling it down and see how easy it is now that I know where her skin is. Like it's this guy right here. I can just start moving everything around like my offset and make sure that I'm nailing her skin tones. So I'm going to pull it somewhere around here. I'm going to keep it somewhere around here. And already we balanced our shot and the skin tones are looking really nice. I'm going to go ahead and create a quick little S curve just to kind of add some drama into our image. So let's pull this up. Let's create one more point right here. I'm going to open up the curve down here so there's some room to breathe. I'm going to go under my log wheels and I'm going to balance out my anchors, my black points, And this is looking really good. Look at the skin. If I hover over, you see what I'm saying? So we balanced our image around the skin tone. Now I'm going to create another node, and here we're going to go aggressive with the look. So let's add a lot of cyan in our look. And we got this kind of action going on, right? But like now our skin is thrown off. It has a lot of yellow now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click and say add parallel node. And we're going to be using that technique from our parallel node section. Remember I said we're going to be borrowing data from this node right here. And if I turn this off, see like how well balanced everything is in this node. So now when I go here under my hue versus hue, I can start swinging my yellow and my red until I start to get the skin back to where it was before. So if I move this over here, bring this over and hover over her skin, see like how we're bringing that back? This is before, this is after. You can see her skin sitting right here. And then afterwards, it's sitting up there now. And now I can go under hue versus saturation and start cranking that up. So we start to get some life in her skin, not too much, right? Like we don't want to overdo anything. But even if I put it right there, just by using our qualifiers, I was able to bring her skin back. And if I take this and show you how much look we created, right? Like look at how much cyan we added. So when let's turn this off and let me show you this. When we were adding this cyan to overall look, it really threw off our skin. And just by using our HSL curves, I was able to bring back the skin. Like, just look at that. And this is how easy it is. As long as you have the skin indicator, it makes it really, really easy to just bring everything back. And now if we think that, okay, we went a bit too far with the cyan, I can subtract one cyan and bring this back. And now everything is looking much better. And then one of other techniques that I will share with you is like, say everything is looking good here, but overall intensity is a bit too much. What you can do, you can go under your key section right here. And now all we can do is just take the gain output and we can dial it back to like split the difference. Okay, so now it's working just like your opacity. You see, we kind of split the difference and now it's not as jarring and it's looking much better. So guys, look at this, how we were able to create a crazy look. If I turn this on and off, we were able to create a really insane look and without sacrificing our skin tone. And we started by balancing our shot around our skin tones. So this is the real sauce when it comes to nailing your skin tones, regardless of the kind of look you're trying to create. Now moving on to everybody's biggest Achilles heel, shot matching basics. All right, so first thing, find a hero shot. Second, balance your scene first. Third, ripple grade. What do I mean by all of this? Let's check it out. So here are our 3 shots that we're going to balance first and then grade. Okay, so I've already gone ahead and applied my Rec 709 conversion. So we're ready to go for all 3 shots. So your hero shot is going to be sort of like your establishing shot or your master shot. So we get to see the most here. Don't use inserts as your hero frame. Just use a shot that is a perfect representation of your entire scene. So in this case, it's got to be this, okay? So first thing that I'm going to do, I'm going to go to my first node. And in terms of balance, everything is looking great. So I don't need to do much there. I'm going to start off with my contrast. I'm going to crank some contrast to just like start popping this image out a little bit. And let's just say that we're happy with what this looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and middle click to apply that change. So now I have that applied from this grade. And the thing that we need to focus on right now is where is our main grass sitting, which is right here in this area. Okay, so when I go to this shot, it is very similar. So this is a good sign. Another thing that you need to do when it comes to matching is click here, select split screen, and under split screen, choose selected clips. And that's going to be the one that you pick. Okay, so one thing that we can see between these 2 shots is that the saturation and the warmth is a little different, right? Like, I mean, this one is just a tiny bit more on the cooler side to what's happening here. So first of all, I'm going to add a bit more contrast here, and I'm going to take my pivot and I'm going to pull it down, and that starts to look pretty good, somewhere around here. So that starts to look pretty good, actually. And now I'm going to go under my warmth, and I'm going to add just a tiny bit more warmth, not too much. Even something like this, and it's starting to look pretty good. It's matching. It's a really good match. So we're good here. Now I'm going to come out of this mode. We're going to go here, and then just right click. And obviously this is the most problematic shot. So I'm going to go back under my split screen. And as we can clearly see, they just don't look alike at all. There's way too much red in this shot. So what I'm going to start doing is I'm going to go under my offset and I'm going to start pulling that red out. So right now my focus is a couple of things, right? So like my focus is the grass, and then also my focus is his arm. So I want to make sure that I just add the right amount of warmth in the arm so it just looks natural. So like now we're where we started to where we ended up. So like we're starting to get that green in there, and then same thing with the arm. So like we're starting to get some really nice contrast in there. So let's add more contrast first of all. So I'm gonna keep the contrast somewhere around here, and it's looking pretty good. It's looking really good. I mean, now we're getting close to like what we see here. So I'm gonna take my offset again and just keep pulling. I'm just focusing on the grass right now. So if I see the grass to grass, we're pretty much there, okay? So if I come out of here and I go between these two shots, you can obviously see that we found our match. So what you need to notice is that right now, this is shot at a different time of day, so there is no shade in this area, okay? So which means we have to take this area into account. So I'm gonna go back in here, hover over here and see where this sits. So this sits around here somewhere. And now when we go to our grass, it is sitting right around the same, okay? It's earlier in the day. So you got to keep that in mind, all right? And now if I go here and just hit play and we go through all our shots, you're going to see how nicely it all comes together. One thing that we can do is we can take our gain and we can pull it down just a little bit to just better match it with this. So even something like that, now it feels just a tiny bit better. So if I go between these shots, they're looking really nice. So those are the three things, guys. So first of all, you're going to find your hero shot. Then you're going to make sure that you balance everything. And then finally, what we can do is now I can come in here and I go, you know what? I want to add a lot of warmth into my shot. So I can start adding tons of yellow. I'm in my printer lights right now, okay? And I can go maybe just add a little bit of cyan just to kind of add a little bit of a look. So even something like this, I added all this, right? Like, so we're really just creating a fun look. I'm going to go under my lift and I'm going to make sure that my blacks are looking pretty deep. And then I'm going to go under my gain and I'm going to make sure that I just add a lot more warmth. And then I'm going to go back into my lift and I'm just going to make sure that, again, the blacks are looking clean. So right now we're creating a really strong look. So now we can just take this and I can select all these clips. I can go under color. And here I can say ripple node change to selected clips. And as soon as I do that, it's going to apply that change to this node. And then it's going to apply that change to this node. And now we've applied our grade to all three clips in one quick succession. And now if I hit play, everything is going to match. Why? Because we took our time to balance everything first. So now it was super easy to apply that grade and it just works perfectly. We don't need to adjust anything. We already did the heavy lifting first. So there you go. This is your foundation when it comes to shot matching. And for some odd reason, if this is not your cup of tea, then let me show you the Cosman 30-day money-back guarantee. If you're not 100% satisfied, reach out to me. Let me know what's going on, and I will make sure to get your money back without any hassle. Guys, thank you so much for joining me and sticking till the end. This was a blast, and hopefully you guys had as much fun as I had putting this entire thing together. I just wanted to hold nothing back. I wanted to give you guys as much value as I possibly can in about an hour, hour and a half, however long this video is. And do not miss out on the opportunity. I'm telling you, you need to join this masterclass. You're going to do it either now or later. Why not just do it right now? Take advantage of the webinar special once again. So hit the three dots, click on the link, join FCM. And once you do, please reach out to me, whether on Instagram, through email, whatever have you, and let me know you're part of the family. And on that note, I will see you in the masterclass.